So how deep does the rabbit hole go? And I did watch a woman on Oprah Winfrey. She was from a Jewish family, and she was saying that during the day her parents were pillars of the community, as in the States. But after dark, when they all put their cloaks on, people from the council, doctors, lawyers, teachers, police officers, judges, they were something completely different. And the satanic ritual abuse and sacrifices of children and infants. And I suppose that is what is really coming out in the Epstein files, the people in high places, and just, their occult practices that are very dark, black magic, demon god of the underworld, Freemason occult trickery, chaos sorcery, prince of darkness, red dragon. A very good film, The Offering, too. And when you realise that you and your children are the offering, then demon god of the underworld, Freemason occult trickery, chaos sorcery, black magic, and the bio warfare, cyber warfare, war is an acceptable blood and fire sacrifice. And how medicine is used very much in some satanic ritualistic killings. And obviously you do have your shamans and your witch doctors, your oriental medicine men also. And that's why a lot of Christians also refuse to take the vaccines that were mandated, because they had abhorred fetuses, stem cells in the vaccines. When you got two serpents wrapped around a pole, ritualistic killings. Dr. Shipman, who was the UK's worst serial killer, death by lethal injections. And I was, before I became a Christian, encountered the living God and the Lord Jesus Christ Joshua. I was quite involved in the occult. I was quite intrigued by Eastern mysticism and the occult. And I was on a ship in Pakistan, Karachi, and that was baking hot there, and I started to look well into Eastern mysticism. And I had a mantra, which I won't say what the mantra was, but you repeated the mantra, and that took you into the occult realms, into the dark forces. And we had no air conditioning on the ship, and that was baking hot, and my cabin became supernaturally cold. And this kind of real evil presence also manifested when I was using rituals and symbols and this mantra that I'd been given. And obviously that freaked the crew out, so I was paid off the ship in Pakistan And what was also interesting is when the plane was taking off leaving Karachi, I had a window seat, and I looked out the window and the plane's taking off, so it's going vertical. And when I looked out the window, there was a black bird, like similar to an osprey. And there was a bird keeping up with the plane, because you could see the spiritual realm. And there was a bird keeping up with the plane, and the plane was at full thrust taking off, and this bird was flying in slow motion. So that was, quite and before I could go back on another ship, I had to go and see the Merchant Navy psychiatrist, because I'd been paid off a ship because of this supernatural event that took place in Pakistan, Karachi. And when I explained to the Merchant Navy psychiatrist, who turned out, and he was Indian, he knew exactly what I was talking about, and how these entities and the occult power and these deities are real, and this dark occult power is real. And he kind of looked quite terrified. He couldn't get me out there quick enough, but he did tell me that I was okay to go back to sea. And I just understood the spiritual experience that I'd have been through by using a mantra and Eastern mysticism. And when I watched the Skeleton Key, that was pretty key, really, because I've always wondered, why do you sacrifice babies, infants, children? What's the big deal about sacrificing, people so young? But in the Skeleton Key, that's what is prevalent, is the more life they steal, the more life they sacrifice, the greater their reward. The more power, the more occult power they will receive, the more power, wealth and control they will receive by the Prince of Darkness, principalities and powers of darkness. And that's why in the occults you have heard stories where people going through different initiations, and the higher they go up, the more depraved the initiations become, and the more occult power they receive. And when you've got people of credibility and people who are in or close to the royal family saying that members of the royal family were at satanic rituals in Balmoral Castle and Sandringham, Windsor Castle, so Prince of Darkness, E.T. hybrid host, Red Dragons, plenty of hosts for the hungry, bloodthirsty beast. Certainly no hosts for the beast here. And as always, certainly not me leaving the body of a 17-year-old sex trafficked girl on the Royal Sandringham estate, Killenfields, late Prince Philip's favourite hunting area. See Prince Harry the Spare for details. The word that came off the Royal Sandringham estate, Killenfields, loud and clear. And again in the Rains list, they is disclosed in the Rains list how they wear claws. You can Google the Rains list or look up the Rains list on YouTube. Satanic abusers, and that names some very prominent people in the UK. Members of the royal family, Peter Mandelson, he's named in the Rains list, who was recently arrested over the Epstein Files saga. The Duke of Norfolk, ex-prime ministers, cabinet members, politicians, aristocracy, celebrities. So it's a very deep, dark rabbit hole. And again, when you realise that you and your children are the Great Reset, 666 offering, and the bio-warfare, cyber warfare and war is an acceptable blood and fire sacrifice to Satan and the fallen. There certainly are a lot of people shining the light in the darkness, and that's certainly why we do need the Lord Jesus Christ, Yeshua. And we certainly do need God's grace and spirit, spiritual protection. And if you could name me any spiritual so-called leader, any false prophet, and there's plenty of false prophets and messiahs, but if you can name anyone who can cast out a legion of demons into a herd of pigs, shows who Jesus really is, the true authority that Jesus has. And I did encounter the Prince of Darkness. All I heard was, "Behold, the Prince of Darkness comes." And then I was lifted into the air, suspended there, a few feet in the air, and I was in this room. I was then thrown full force at a wall, but stopped inches from the wall, suspended there for a few moments, and then dropped. So a very powerful spirit, but not as powerful as the Spirit of God that we can all receive through the Lord Jesus Christ, Yeshua. The same Spirit that rose Jesus from the dead. And another good classic film is The Brotherhood of the Wolf. And you do have Wolverton Wood Farm Cottage, Royal Sandringham Estate, Killenfields, Hunton Lodge, Human Hunting Pies, Prince of Darkness, SS Sandringham Wolf Pack, Hybrid Host, Red Dragons. And in The Brotherhood of the Wolf, there's quite a good line where it says, "Behind a veil of riches there is a dark secret, Prince of Darkness, dark power." So no Roy White and White Van Man, Christian B, Sandringham serial killer, Black Wizard terrorist issue, and no ritual killer here. There's a good film, Morgan Freeman, the ritual killer. No number 7, John Doe of Dis, serial killer here, Africa, Dis, Norwich and Sandringham. And the big black cornerstone that came out of Africa, 7 monster lies, 7 bogus diagnoses of Bilal. And again, more bogus diagnosis than on Jack the Ripper, who they've now identified apparently using new DNA technology, but no Norfolk Jack the Kipper. Sandringham serial killer, Black Wizard terrorist, Yeshua. And there really are some vans you will not want to disappear in the back of. So plenty of high crimes, Jack the Ripper crimes, and certainly not mine. Castles, manor houses, UK's Devil Island, country estates, and that one indicating had 17 on it. So not me leaving the body of a 17-year-old sex trafficked girl on the Royal Sandringham Estate, Killenfields, their high royal blue crime, New Year's Day find, September blue murder. Certainly not mine. Again, see Prince Harry the Spare for details. The word that came off the Royal Sandringham Estate, Killenfields, loud and clear. And Steve Wright, Ipswich, 5 girls murdered in Ipswich, 22 miles from here, in 10 days. Some were said to have been found in a satanic pose. So again, plenty of hosts for the hungry, bloodthirsty beasts in high places. Certainly will pay to make you disappear. I've done videos on that one. That was a BMW, but a big silver Mercedes-Benz estate car in this 4-man crew. Did see them coming, so I was prepared, but they certainly did get me boxed in. And Steve Wright has just been given another life sentence for the murder of Victoria Hall. 17-year-old girl who was found murdered naked in a ditch dating back to 1999. So a crime is a crime whenever it's committed, unless there's a high royal blue crime. New Year's Day find, September blue murder, certainly not mine. People said there'd been others, they will hunt and feast again. And even with Steve Wright, people say that there were other victims also, apart from Victoria Hall and the 5 girls murdered in Ipswich. Like I say, some of the girls were said to have been found in a satanic pose. And certainly, as always, very good film, Jim Carrey, very good crime drama, The Suspect. But no mad, deranged, insane, demon possessed, Jekyll and Hyde. Number 21 or number 23, serial killer here, Africa, Dis, Norwich and Sandringham. Really don't think so. One big 666, monster fix, black box. Serial killer frame fix assassination. Sealed with 7 monster lies, 7 bogus diagnoses, not even Harry Houdini could escape from. And that really is a 22-year catch-22, complete abuse of power, position, authority and influence in public office. So again, Prince of Darkness, E.T. hybrid host, Red Dragon, Prince Harry Potter. Their high royal blue crime, New Year's Day find, September blue murder, certainly not mine. Everyone nicely used and set me up, framed and fixed me, used me as the spare and the fall guy. The scapegoat, as I was staying in a disused beach at Hitcham, North Norfolk coast, 7 miles from Sandringham. Again, police surrounding my frame fixed coder, calling for backup. But no black cat, copycat. Black cat of Burston, son of Sam. Sandringham serial killer, no one had bluff on it. So one big monster con, one big monster bluff, monster gaff, epic fail. One big porky pie, serial killer lie in Dis, Norfolk, UK, Africa, Dis, Norwich and Sandringham. And that little restaurant there on the right used to be called the White Elephant, one big white elephant in Dis. So again, a high royal blue crime, New Year's Day find, September blue murder. Certainly not mine. See Prince Harry the Spare for details. Then the word that came off the Royal Sandringham estate. Killing fields, loud and clear.